Breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report. Presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Vikings season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers and the 2024 GMC Sierra on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer, Sam Bird, does a great job putting the show together, especially after the Vikings break a 2-game losing skid on Sunday night in prime time and beat the Indianapolis Colts 21-13. Very important victory for the Purple, Sam, on Sunday night.
Yes, I had to actually make a second pot of coffee. I was putting together so many highlights for the show, so there's a lot to get to. I'm excited to discuss this one.
Yeah, definitely. A huge win, as we said, just to get back on the winning track, stay close to Detroit in the NFC North, pass up Green Bay after they got beat by Detroit. So the Vikings at 6-2 through 8 games, in very good shape for the playoffs. About an over 80% chance to make it, according to all the analytics. You still got to get it done, but it was an important game to get that win at home, and it did not look good in the first half. Very shaky start on offense. Sam Darnold, a couple of turnovers in the first half, one of which should have been overturned for a roughing the passer call that didn't come. Sam's got to buddy up to those officials a little bit because he's not getting any calls the last couple of weeks.
To say the least.
Face mask against the Rams and this play where he got whacked in the face, which we'll see and talk about in a second. But the defense had a great game, held up, forced a couple turnovers, also a fourth down stop, stopped Jonathan Taylor running the ball. One of the elite backs in the NFL, held him to 48 yards rushing. Joe Flacco really did a good job on him, holding him under 200 yards passing, big interception, and a fumble. So Flacco had a couple of turnovers. Didn't do what Coach Shane Steichen was hoping, which was to play significantly better than Anthony Richardson. Pass percentage-wise, maybe he is, but he did not look good in the game, and a lot of that due to the Vikings' pressure in the game. So a very strong performance from Cam Robinson. Very impressive. Come in on a Wednesday, a couple practices and starts. And I'm not saying I was shocked that he started, because we knew that the Colts' strength were their inside defensive tackles, and we saw that with DeForest Buckner, who gave the Vikings interior O-linemen all they could handle. But Robinson did a really nice job. I only saw one pressure that he gave up in the game. Did a pretty good job in the running game, especially at the end when the Vikings were able to run the ball as the Colts maybe tired out a little bit. So he's not Christian Darrisaw, but a pretty good replacement, especially at the trade deadline when you're acquiring a tackle who started 90 games in the NFL. And I thought he played pretty darn good in this game. And so we'll see how things shake out going forward, but definitely a good start for him. He'll have a good test this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the next opponent. They've got a couple of great edge rushers. Josh Allen, 17.5 sacks last year. He's got 5 this year. Trayvon Walker has 6.5 sacks. The Vikings head to Jacksonville for the next game against a 2-7 team coming off a loss to Philadelphia. But let's go back to yesterday. Highlights courtesy of NBC. Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth were on the call at U.S. Bank Stadium. Crowd boisterous as always for a Sunday night game. And a very, as we said, kind of shaky start. A couple turnovers early in the game and no scoring by the Vikings in the first half. And the only score in that first half was on this play, a very controversial play.
Play action. Darnold thrown down. Ball out as well. As Grover Stewart took him down. There's a flag down as Kenny Moore is taking it in for a touchdown. So we got a lot to sort.
Yeah, I just don't understand how you actually throw a flag. Somebody saw something,
Right.
and then they pick it up. How does that happen? And how do the officials miss the face mask call against the Rams that ended the game essentially for the Vikings? So just a really bad turn of events for Sam, and that at that point the Vikings down 7-0 and all the way through the second quarter. Then there are kicking issues. Will Reichert had not missed a kick the entire season. He was dealing with a quad injury. Kevin O'Connell talked about it today and after the game, and saying they're not sure exactly if it happened on a kickoff or what happened, but apparently it may be fairly significant to the point that they may have to bring in some kickers this week and audition some potential replacements on a short-term basis for Reichert. Maybe he won't be an IR candidate, which would put him out for 4 games, but he might miss a game or 2. We'll see. They just want to see how it plays out during the week, and they're going to monitor that. They've also got an injury to their long snapper, Andrew DePaula, a Pro Bowl long snapper, has a hand injury, and he may end up on IR. So a couple of under-the-radar injuries that kind of came out of that game for the Vikings and affecting their kicking game that has been so dynamic this year. We'll see how that shakes out this week. So, as we said, Vikings down 7-0 at halftime. And here was Reichert's second missed field goal, and you could just see something's wrong.
From 31. He pushed it to the right, and no good. Off the upright.
He doesn't miss from 31 yards,
No,
ever.
he doesn't. No.
No. And so that kind of indicated, and he was kind of putting tape on his leg after that kick and became obviously a problem, but he gutted it out and finished the game and was able to make the extra points in the second half when the Vikings scored 3 times, was able to kick off. So you say, okay, admire his toughness in that regard, but we'll just see how that shakes out for the Vikings this week before they head to Jacksonville. So the third quarter, things start to get much better for the Vikings, and it kind of started on the opening drive of the third quarter. Sam Darnold hits T.J. Hawkinson, who made a successful return from his ACL injury, his first game back. Good to see T.J. back in the lineup. And here's a 19-yard catch he made.
2nd and 6. Darnold's got time. He's got Hawkinson. The tight end's got it at the 26-yard line. Gain of 19.
The pass protection definitely improved in the second half. As we said, maybe the Colts got a little tired or the Vikings offensive line played better. They gave up 3 sacks in the first half, only 1 sack in the second half. Made a big difference with Darnold having more time to throw. So that helped set up a touchdown. And here's one of the great catches that we'll see this season. Usually it's Justin Jefferson making these circus catches. This time it was Jordan Addison.
1st and goal for the Vikings. Darnold throws on the run to Addison. Did he bring it in? Yes! Great catch. Touchdown, Vikings.
When you first saw that catch, Sam, you had to think, nah, he could not have caught that ball. He must have trapped it.
Hit the ground or something.
Yeah, just an amazing catch by Jordan Addison, and good to see him more involved in that game and made a couple big catches in the game later beside that touchdown catch. So at this point, the Vikings have tied the game 7-all. Later, third quarter, after a defensive stop, the Vikings on their next drive, Darnold finds Justin Jefferson in single coverage, licking their chops, the Vikings, Darnold and O'Connell and Jefferson, and he beats Womack for a 41-yard pass reception.
Keep an eye on him and the decisions that Kevin O'Connell makes. 3rd and 2, Darnold shot down the field for Jefferson, who brings it in to the 2-yard line.
Again, pass protection improving at that point in the game, and didn't like the next couple play calls, but the Vikings eventually, that play set up a touchdown pass to Jalen Naylor.
3rd and goal. Darnold throws to the goal line. Touchdown, Jalen Naylor.
And that's what turns out to be the winning score in the game, puts the Vikings up 14-7. What I was also impressed with on that play, Darnold hanging in there long enough for Naylor to come free on his route coming across the field. And that was certainly a big moment in the game. Vikings up 14-7 at that point. As we said, Vikings defense playing great throughout this game. Here's an interception by Byron Murphy on Joe Flacco. And watch Andrew Van Ginkel put the pressure on.
There's enough to overturn it. In any case, they pick it up to get 3rd and 8 and give Flacco a chance to throw. Intercepted by Murphy. Byron Murphy in front of Josh Down.
Flacco came in with a rating over 100 coming to this game, and he ended up with a 63.7 rating, only 179 yards. The 2 turnovers, not a great game for Joe Flacco, who we were concerned about going in, and the guy can still throw the ball, but did not have a great game, and credit the Vikings defense for the pressure they put on him. We could see really in that Ram game against Matthew Stafford, they had no sacks in that game. The defense was tired from the short week, from a physical game with the Lions. Here they had the mini bye, the extra time, and I think it paid off with extra pressure. They got 3 sacks late in the game, 2 by Jonathan Gennard, now up to 7 on the season. Vikings at this point have turned the ball back over immediately. Unfortunately, on the next play, Darnold throws a bad interception over the middle, trying to kind of force the ball to Jefferson, which I don't mind him doing, but in that case, it just wasn't a good throw in particular. So it's a little precarious, clinging to a 4-point lead with about 5.5 minutes to go. Harrison Smith comes up with a couple. First of all, he had the fumble recovery in the first quarter, but he comes up with 2 back-to-back plays, defensive stops on Pittman. And here is a great breakup. He and Stephon Gilmore combine on Ashton Dulin. Perfect hit by Harrison Smith. Watch his contact point and the fact that he doesn't hit him in the head, doesn't draw a flag. Just a perfect play.
Just 3 rush. Flacco throws in traffic. Incomplete. With a big hit, but no flag. And Minnesota will take over at the 40-yard line.
That was on 4th and 2. Just a huge defensive play in the game. And then the Vikings went on a terrific drive, 8 plays, 60 yards. Vikings O-line opening holes and Josh Oliver blocking great. Aaron Jones has 25 yards rushing on the drive and a 21-yard from Darnold to Addison on the drive. Jefferson drawing coverage, and it leads to this play, 2:09 left in the game. I thought this was an excellent call by Kevin O'Connell. The Colts were expecting run, figuring the Vikings wanted them to use their last time out and settle for a field goal and a 7-point lead. I thought this was a great call by O'Connell to go for the touchdown. And Josh Oliver, a career-high 5 catches in this game. Here's a touchdown pass, Darnold to Oliver.
2nd and 11. And they'll do a little play action here, looking for the tight end. Oliver! Touchdown!
Nice hands shown by Josh Oliver. Ball a little bit behind him, but a good play by Darnold on that boot and the play action. And the Vikings up 21-10 at this point basically seals the deal, but not quite, because the Colts, there's still a couple minutes left. They kick a field goal, and then they're going for an onside kick. And who else would recover it but guess who?
Here we go. Sanchez got the bounce. Jefferson went up to get it. Even though he was contacted, he hangs on. And the star player on the field does close the deal for the Vikings.
You got to admire Justin Jefferson, not only for his talent level, but the fact that the guy, yeah, he's maybe a little bit of a diva at times, but he's still gutsy enough and a team player and a team leader that he's going to go out on special teams. He's going to go out on the hands team. He's going to put his body at risk on that onside kick where you can get hammered by guys hurling their bodies at you, and he closes out the deal. Vikings 6-2 at that point. Here's Kevin O'Connell postgame talking about the Vikings' big win?
I was proud of the way we responded. There was a lot of things that we really wanted to emphasize, starting with our defense. I thought they were really the backbone tonight for us, not only forcing 2 turnovers with Murph and Harry, but just the way they were able to answer the bell, even on a short field there in the second half. Credit to Flo, his staff, and all of our players for that effort. Thought our team limited penalties. I don't think we had any pre-snap things offensively. We really tried to obviously emphasize that. I know it's been talked about at length, but a good example of if we at least start there. I think we averaged almost 6 yards of play, moved it all night. Some critical turnovers, and then we've got even against a good front with a new left tackle. Still, the expectation is just to protect Sam a little bit more, give him an opportunity to keep getting the ball out of his hands. Thought there were some huge performances from Jets. Loved the way Cam Akers popped a little bit, coming in there, really showing what he's capable of. And then Jordan Addison's catch was one of the better catches over there in a pretty critical moment, coming out of the half, wanting to get 7. Josh Oliver was huge, critical touch, the catch everybody's going to talk about at the end in 4 minutes. But I thought he was a fantastic blocker, as he always is, physical all night long, and was really significant. Give credit to Cam Robinson, showing up here about 72 hours ago and played a lot of snaps for us. And once again, just to Kwesi and his staff for getting that done.
So we're going to hear from some of the Viking players. We're going to look around the league at some of the things that happened in eventful Week 9, look ahead a little bit to Week 10, including the Vikings at the Jaguars. But first, let's talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your Select Minnesota GMC dealers. Stop by and choose from our wide selection of colors, models, and trim levels. Our friendly sales professionals are ready to work with you, so you drive home happy with not just any deal, the deal. So come take a test drive today. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on 2024 GMC Sierra light-duty models. See your Select Minnesota GMC dealers today. Length of contract limited. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/2/24. Couple of thoughts heading into the Jacksonville game. Sam Darnold, be a little more careful with the ball, Sam. And
to say the least.
Don't be forcing some throws, especially in the red zone. That was a costly. You got 3 points guaranteed at that point. It's a third down play. Don't force the ball as he did an interception early in the game. The interior offensive line has to be a little more consistent. Garrett Bradbury has had struggles from time to time. He did put on some weight last year. He's played better, but wow, was he bulldozed over on that play by Grover Stewart where it should have been a penalty. As Kevin O'Connell mentioned, the Vikings much better in the pre-snap penalties. Really none of those, and only 3 penalties in the game for 41 yards, while the Colts have 7 penalties. That was a big improvement over what we've seen the last couple weeks. And actually, the Colts should have had an 8th penalty, as we know, on that roughing the passer call. Darnold, yeah, he had those 3 mistakes, but really threw the ball well otherwise. Jefferson showing his immense talent in the game. When you think about this offense, Sam, and you think about Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Hawkinson, Oliver,
right,
Aaron Jones, Cam Akers showed up in this game and did a really nice job, and looks like he's surpassed Ty Chandler on that depth chart. He was running really well. So you talk about the trades, not only Cam Robinson, but Cam Akers a week or so ago, some pretty good moves at the trade deadline for the Vikings to improve this roster. So a lot of good things happened in the game. Defense, as we said, a terrific night, holding the Colts to 227 total yards, 13 first downs, 37 to 23 minute edge in time of possession. Part of that is the defense getting off the field, and part of that is the offense converting third downs. They were 6 of 12 in the game and 1-1 on 4th down, while the defense held the Colts to only 4 of 13 on 3rd and 4th down. Consistent pressure on Flacco. That's got to continue this week against Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Lawrence can heat up, but Christian Kirk, one of his top receivers, is out. As we said, we're going to have to monitor the kicking situation this week. The defense playing great, and hopefully they can kind of carry the water through some of the other issues that have happened. But a lot of good things going on for the Vikings to get that win. Sam Darnold talked post-game about getting the win and a couple mistakes he made.
I'd like to be better in the first half. Can't turn the ball over the way I did today, first and foremost. But just a resilient group. Our defense played incredible, I thought, most of the game. And then, our offensive line, our running backs, our receivers, our tight ends, the way that they were able to block throughout the entire game really kind of set the tone for the game. And that was kind of I felt like the reason we were able to finish the way that we did with that last touchdown.
Cam Robinson, we talked about, acquired in the trade for a 2026 5th or 4th round pick, whatever it ends up being, depending on his play time. A pretty good deal when you get a guy that, as we said, has a lot of experience in the league and steps right in his first week, plays well, and he's going to face his former team in Jacksonville on Sunday, so maybe he can get the rest of the troops really fired up for that game. But here's Cam Robinson.
For me personally, it was, obviously I knew the amount of work and the amount of time it was going to take just for me to be prepared for this game, but I was all in on that. And just like I mentioned earlier, my teammates and the coaches here did a good job of just preparing me and then got me to the point where I can go out and roll.
Josh Oliver, I got to say, Sam, when they signed him last year and paid essentially a backup blocking tight end $8 million a year, I kind of wondered, not sure about that deal. But they apparently saw something in him beyond his blocking ability, which is great, but not necessarily at an $8 million a year tight end level, but his receiving ability. And he's a very good receiving tight end, big body, and can box guys out and has good hands, as we saw in the touchdown catch. Here's Josh Oliver talking after the game.
It was awesome to go out there and kind of do what we were preaching all week, and that's be who we are and go out and get the dub.
Is that the kind of role in a game on this offense that you could have an impact like that in a game like this?
Yeah, I feel like I was just getting a lot of opportunities and was able to take advantage of them. And that was just the way the ball was going.
Take us through that final touchdown.
Yeah, we were doing a heck of a job just running the rock that whole last drive, and then safety sucked up, thought it was run action, hit him with the corner, and Sam gave me an opportunity to catch touchdown.
And speaking for the defense, Harrison Smith, who had a great game.
That happened on the kind of the exchange there, and I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if maybe I should have picked it up because I'm not sure anyone really knew where it was, but I thought it was kind of in a crowd. So it's always good to get a turnover, but if you can score, it's a lot better.
Just facing Flacco kind of changed the dynamic after most of the games on tape against them. They had Richardson.
Yeah. There were still maybe 2.5 games of Flacco, and he's been around for a while, so kind of know what type of player he is, what he likes to do. Still has a huge arm and obviously knows what to do. So just definitely two different styles, but just prepare for what you can prepare for.
Harrison Smith talking about his performance and facing Joe Flacco, and this week they'll get Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll talk about that game. We'll look around the league a little bit at some other games that happened on Sunday. But first, here's our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your local GMC dealer. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional grade. GMC. Well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR for 36 months on GMC Sierra light-duty models. See your local GMC dealer today. Monthly payment is $28.16 for every $1,000 you finance. Average example down payment 15%. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/24.
Sam, there must be something about the Colts that makes the Vikings play terrible first halves.
I'm telling you, Jeff.
And great second halves. As we said last time, it was 33-0 at the half 2 years ago.
Yep.
And the Vikings won 39-36. This time they're down 7-0, end up winning 21-13. So second halves, I guess that means they have outscored the Colts, 60-something to 9 or whatever it is,
right.
in second halves over the last two games.
Although this one was a little different. The non-rough in the passer call, I mean, if you watch it in slow motion, it looked like a Mike Tyson KO. It was just, a straight shot to the helmet. And the fact that they picked up the flag, I mean, you could say, well, they didn't call it, but they called it and then picked it up.
That's ridiculous.
It's just completely asinine to me. So I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, that's absurd. But again, I think Sam's got to cozy up to those referees a little more. Get some of those calls that maybe Patrick Mahomes gets and
right.
Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Anyway, as we talked about yesterday, eventful day around the NFL. The Packers kind of laid an egg at home against the Lions, had 10 penalties, 5 drop passes. Jordan Love throws a terrible pick six. Detroit gets outgained 411 to 261, but wins the game by 10 points. Didn't really have to sweat too much. And the Lions are 7-1 now, with on a roll, shall we say. Also, in the NFC North, the Bears were drilled 29-9 by the Cardinals. Arizona rushes for 213 yards. Caleb Williams is sacked 6 times in the game. Cardinals are now leading the NFC West at 5-4, but the Rams are on their heels, and the 49ers were idle. But the Rams had a big overtime thriller, big win against Seattle in Seattle. Big game for them. I'm going to go back to that Detroit game for just a second, Sam, in Green Bay. Brian Branch was thrown out of the game early on for a helmet-to-helmet hit on Bo Melton. Tom Brady, who, we have great respect for him as a Hall of Fame player. We know all that. But he says after that play, he shouldn't have been thrown out for that. Come on, Tom, what are you talking about? It was a helmet-to-helmet shot where Branch launches himself at Bo Melton. Are you kidding me? And you're saying there as a former player, understanding that the NFL is trying to get those kind of hits out of the game for safety, and you're saying he shouldn't have been kicked out for that hit? Absolutely, he should have been kicked out for that hit. I thought it was a very excellent call by the officials, and disappointed in Tom Brady for making that comment on a national broadcast. But other games, Kirk Cousins, he's still hot. 3 touchdown passes. The Falcons moved to 6-3 in control of the NFC South, and the Cowboys are reeling at 3-5.
Yeah.
And they've got the Eagles this week. That could be about their last gasp for Dallas. As we said, other big games, the Bills have a 4-game lead in the AFC East, and they beat Miami on a 61-yard field goal by Tyler Bass. Don't write off the Bengals yet.
Right.
They won their 3rd straight game. Joe Burrow threw 5 touchdown passes. They've got a huge game on Thursday night at Baltimore, who had another big game from Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry ran for 106, leads the NFL in rushing at 30 years old.
Yeah.
He's having a fantastic year. And the Bengals have won 3 in a row, or 4-5, heading into that big game against 6-3 Baltimore. The Saints fired their coach after their 7th straight loss after starting the season at 2-0. Dennis Allen is out in New Orleans. Other big games coming up in Week 10. 2 matchups of division leaders. Detroit at Houston. I don't know. I think the Lions will be fine in that game. Houston's having trouble protecting C.J. Stroud. Receiver issues with injuries. Pittsburgh at Washington, another big game. Maybe two surprising division leaders there. And the Vikings are at Jacksonville. The Jags a couple weeks ago took Green Bay to the wire in a 30-27 loss. They were down 22-0 to Philadelphia in Philly, came back in that game and made it a close game that was kind of down to the wire, where Lawrence threw an interception on the last drive. And the Eagles won the game 28-23. But Jacksonville, they haven't quit. They're no pushover. So the Vikings are going to have to be ready to play, have that defense going, have Sam Darnold not turning the ball over, but still making great plays to Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Hawkinson. He could have a big game, possibly, against a Jacksonville team. So we'll break that game down on Thursday night as we preview the Vikings at the Jaguars. Vikings 6-2, second place in the NFC North, and in a good position for the playoffs. They got to keep winning, though. Win these games against teams like Jacksonville, Tennessee coming up on the road. So this has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Vikings season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers and the 2024 GMC Sierra on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond with Sam Bird, and we will see you on Thursday, and we will break down the Vikings and the Jags.